We have with us a very interesting and experienced panel. This webinar is being co-hosted and co-organized with Association of Indian Universities. Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General of the Association, is also here. Welcome, Dr. Mittal.
Good morning.
And Dr. Mittal has been working on this issue for last 10 years. And when I got to know her in 2011, when she was the Vice Chancellor of BPS University in Haryana, and we will find out a little bit today from her about those innovations. But Dr. Mittal was also responsible for initiating and taking it to the level of the commission in University Grants Commission, the new policy on fostering social responsibility in higher education. Many of you have seen this policy. I'll return to it in a minute. Let me introduce other members of the panel this morning. We have with us Professor Anand Mohan. Welcome, Dr. Anand Mohan.
Thank you. Namaskar to everybody.
Dr. Anand Mohan is Registrar in Dayal Bagh Educational Institute in Agra. But more importantly, he has been a member of the expert group set up by UGC under the leadership of Professor K.K. Agarwal when Dr. Pankaj Mittal was Additional Secretary in UGC 2 years ago. And Professor Anand Mohan worked with us. Together we contributed towards the drafting of this new policy. We are also delighted to have with us Dr. Nilima Gupta, Vice Chancellor of Kanpur University. Welcome, Dr. Gupta.
Namaskar.
And she has been very active. Kanpur University is a vast university, as many of you know, and we will hear from her what is happening around the university and its communities. We will be soon joined by Professor Dinesh Singh, who is the former Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, as the fourth panel. Now, as we said in this webinar, right now, universities and colleges and all educational institutions are rightly so shut down, just as we are all locked down. It is likely that over the summer, next 2-3 months, that situation may continue. The primary attention of all faculty members, students, Vice Chancellor is to complete the learning process that got disrupted due to the pandemic. And various forms of online teaching and support mechanisms have been activated. Given the vast scale of higher education in this country, nearly 1,000 universities, 40,000+ colleges, close to 4 crore students enrolled, 12-15 lakh teachers and other 5-6 lakh non-teaching staff. And when you include the technical and professional institutions under AICTE's banner, then there are another 10,000 such institutions with nearly 500,000, 5.5 lakh, 6 lakh students enrolled. So we have a very large higher education system in the world. Some say it is the third largest, some say second largest. We don't need to get into that. But this higher education system has been associated with some form of community engagement. In some places, more at the initiative of the faculty or the students or the vice chancellors, and in some places through NSS and other ways. This new policy, which I'll ask Costa to show you the front page on, if you see this new policy, is the policy which was approved last year. It's called Fostering Social Responsibility and Community Engagement in Higher Educational Institutions in India. And as I mentioned, Dr. Mittal initiated this when she was in UGC, and it reached fruition. This policy was launched in third week of January this year, by chairman, vice chairman, UGC, and nearly 150 universities and institutions, higher education institutions were represented. Professor Anand Mohan and I were also there, and we talked about the policy. Because of the pandemic, the next steps in implementation of the policy are halted for the time being. But I would appeal to all of you to take a look at this policy. It is available on UGC website. And those of you who have registered for the webinar and are participating here, we will send you a copy of this policy as well, so that you can share it with your colleagues as well. In this policy, there are several interesting features which I just alert to you before I invite my panelists. The first feature is that we are talking about engagement with society, not as an afterthought, not as something ghettoized in a social work department or NSS or extension, but engagement with society as a fundamental principle of teaching, research, and service. We know that interactive teaching, learning from the field, enhances knowledge, skills, competencies of our students. We know that partnership research with communities can address challenges that our society faces and provide new knowledge solutions to those. It also prepares our students to undertake research in this manner in the future. And service is more as a service which does respect to society and is not merely an extension of trying to teach society. So the principle of this policy is university-wide, all activities of the institution, teaching, research, service, all faculties. It includes a perspective of mutual respect. It should be based on providing and integrating credit to students. Only then the students will take it as a serious issue. And it includes credit for the performance of teachers, because if they devote time to this, they may not be able to publish 5 other research articles in journals. So the policy enumerates all these principles. It also describes a 2-credit course, which hopefully we could have seen launched in July, but maybe it may get a little delayed, where students of all faculty go and interact with the real world surrounding rural society, learn about panchayats, nagar palikas, various development schemes, and the challenges that local society faces. It also talked about doing partnership research to address some of the sustainable development goals and climate issues. The pandemic, COVID-19, has brought all the climate issues, resilience issues, disaster issues, and sustainability issues up front. We can't hide any further away from them, even if we don't know all the 17 SDGs by heart. We know the reality in front of us, facing not only our communities, but worldwide. So the idea of this webinar is that Association of Indian Universities and people like Professor Anand Mohan, myself, others who have been involved in promoting social responsibility and community engagement, we want to use this opportunity to have a conversation with you. Our panelists will give an initial presentation, a quick sharing of their views and thoughts, and then we will open it up for question and answer to you. All the this webinar is also live on YouTube and it's being recorded. We will share the recording with you all who are registered in a couple of days. And we will also take key messages, key ideas, key inspirations from today's conversation, summarize it in a short note, and share it with all of you, which you can discuss in your own, with your own colleagues, in your own institutions, with your own state governments as well. So if you remember, we posed certain questions in the webinar. I'll just read them once again and then invite panelists in the sequence in which they are listed. We want to understand what role universities and higher education institutions can play in the informal urban settlements, in the villages surrounding them, where a large number of migrants are now returning home in the face of this pandemic. There are immediate health issues which over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months may be addressed. But by the time universities open, colleges open, July, August, there may be even more serious issues about livelihood. Livelihood in rural areas, livelihood in informal settlements, question of skills for livelihood, and what role universities and higher education institutions can play in supporting this. A big challenge, if you notice, is that when pandemics happen, when disaster happens, it is the capacity of our frontline workers and local institutions which makes a difference. Where our panchayats and nagar palikas and local ANMs and local community leaders have become active, food, shelter, quarantine, healthcare is all being made available. So one way we can look at long-term contribution of higher education institutions is to support the strengthening of these local institutions, because in all manners of support, they can benefit as higher education institutions are endowed with knowledge, skill, capacity, human and material resources. So that is the general purpose of this dialogue, and we hope you enjoy it and contribute to this. So with that brief overview and welcome, let me invite my co-organizer, Professor Dinesh Singh, welcome. We are delighted to join. You could join us. Professor Dinesh Singh is the Chancellor of Kya Mangalam University right now, but he has been Vice Chancellor of Delhi University for many years and very renowned mathematician. Welcome, sir. We are now starting with Dr. Pankaj Mittal, and then I'll invite you when your sequence time will come.
Sure.
Good morning to you and welcome.
Thank you.
So Dr. Pankaj Mittal, let us start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Tandon, and a very good morning to all the participants and the panelists, and welcome to the webinar on fostering social responsibilities by higher education institutions. Also, thanks to Professor Rajesh Tandon, who is the co-chair for the UNESCO, who is the co-chairing the UNESCO Chair on Social Responsibility, for organizing all this and for working a lot in the field of community engagement. In fact, my interest in community engagement grew just because of his intervention in my university when I was the Vice Chancellor of BPS Women University. Thank you. When we talk of university social responsibility, we always say that the universities do have a responsibility towards the people who are inside the university, that is the students, but they also have a responsibility towards the community, towards the region in which the university is located. So what are the universities doing to fulfill that responsibility? And especially in times of such pandemics, when everybody is shut inside their homes, the universities are closed, colleges are closed, schools are closed, and the community is facing multiple problems, whether it is migration problem or health problems or loss of jobs problems. So many problems are there. So how the universities can contribute in helping the society to come out of these problems. So I had prepared a small presentation, not referring to COVID, but to what type of issues are there with regard to social responsibility and what are the universities doing about it. So if we talk about the current status, at present, social responsibility is not recognized as one of the essential functions of HEIs. If a HEI is doing any kind of social responsibility, they are doing it on their own, but there is no obligation on them. So it is sort of a inner voice of the vice chancellors or the faculty and the students that they are doing, but there is no mandatory stipulation that universities must indulge in acts of social responsibility, or they may be they may or may not be responsible to the community around the university. So that is one issue. Presentation, can I have the first slide, please? Costa? Yes. So what we need is that we need the efforts to ensure that institutional engagement means engagement with the community. It should be there across all the disciplines. It is not the responsibility of only the social work department or any one department of the university. It is the responsibility of every department of the university, every faculty of this university, and every student of the university, that they should ensure that they engage with the community. But when it comes to the engagement of the students, generally what our students need is some credit for doing the community engagement. They say if we are indulging with the community, we should try to get some credit also, because they feel that whatever they are doing in the classroom, for that they are getting the grades, they are getting the credits, but whatever they are doing in terms of engaging with the community, they are not going to get any credit for that. So we need to give credits to the students for engaging with the community, at the same time to sort of keep the interest of the faculty live for engaging with the community, and for sort of promoting or encouraging the students to engage with the community. We also need to sort of some way help, or some way sort of give some encouragement to the faculty, which could be in the form of performance assessment. We can give them some marks for the professional performance assessment of the faculty. Some weightage can be given so that the faculty also feels interested in community engagement. So giving credits to the students and giving some marks to the faculty for the performance assessments, it's very, very important for taking the community engagement initiatives forward in any particular university. Now, what are the recent initiatives? Many of you would be knowing that there is a program called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, for which IIT Delhi is the nodal agency. And in Unnat Bharat Abhiyan initiative, the universities are engaging with the local communities, with the villages, through the panchayats, through the deputy commissioners. And the purpose is to identify the problems which are existing in the villages, and then find the solutions for those problems. It could be development of technology, it could be customizing the technology, it could be anything, but then it has to be helping the community by the university. So many universities and colleges are already registered under the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and they are sending the problems to the Abhiyan people and also finding solutions. So it's a very big program of the Government of India, which is being handled through IIT Delhi. In addition to that, Professor Tandon was already telling you that UGC has also made a policy for fostering social responsibility. In this, one important is they have made a mandatory 2-credit course both for UG students as well as the PG students, to ensure that they indulge themselves in the community activities, and they appreciate the rural realities. They are respectful to the rural people, they are inspiring, and they know what rural India is. So that mandatory 2-credit course is there. The curriculum is already given in the UGC guidelines. It is for the universities to adopt it, and because it is made mandatory by the UGC, it has to be adopted by most of the universities. But as Professor Tandon was saying, because of this COVID pandemic, when the universities are shut down, we are not able to launch it so far, maybe in the next session whenever it comes. Second is that not only a separate 2-credit course, even the existing courses can be tweaked so that they become aligned to community engagement. For example, say if we talk of students in chemistry, so they do the salt analysis in the classroom. They can also do the water analysis or the soil analysis for the farmers, and tell the farmers which nutrient is deficient in their soil. The geographic students can do geomapping, history students can write the history of the villages, the education people can do the survey, the legal law students can do the legal aid clinics in the university. So every university can do in every department something or the other which can help the university, which can help the community. So I will just briefly tell what our university did, because then we'll talk to other panelists. In our university, the first center I established was Center for Society, University Interface and Research. Mostly it is Center for Industry, University Interface, but the first center we established was Center for Society, University Interface and Research, and it was doing 3 types of activities. It was doing some add-on courses. Next slide, please. It was doing some add-on courses for the students which were on 50-50 basis. That is, the 50% of the course was conducted in the classroom and 50% in the community. For example, there was a course in microfinancing. In microfinancing course, the students were learning about the nuances of microfinancing and then telling it to the rural women also. So they made self-help groups, and they helped the village women to be financially independent by learning in this course. Similarly, there was a course on integrated energy resource management. There was a course on folk medicine because we did have a Ayurveda college. So we had a folk medicine course in which the students used to learn from the village women that what type of medicine is used in what type of disease, both for the cattle as well as the human. And then they used to standardize it and document it. So these type of courses were run by our university. And then second was creating small time, inexpensive, nature friendly technologies. Very small, inexpensive technologies, which at times we think it's not even required. So they were thought of during the course of discussions with the rural men and women. And then we made some small technologies. For example, we made one upla making machine. Next slide, please. We made one upla making machine in which you put the cow dung and the husk on the top of the hooper, and then out come the upla, dried uplas in the form of small soap cakes. So the villagers were so happy to get this, that one thing that they got uplas ready-made, otherwise it is a very messy thing in which the hands and all get dirty. And second is they felt that yes, the university feels for us. So that type of feeling was there. Second thing which we made for them, these are very, very, it's not a rocket science, very, very small. This was a portable gobar gas unit. Normally the gobar gas plant is very huge, which requires a lot of space. This was a portable gobar gas unit which was made for the villagers. And one more thing which we did was, because electricity is a problem in the rural areas, so we made a machine, next slide please, which we made a washing machine which run by cycling rather than the electricity. So as one cycles, the clothes get washed behind through the washing machine. So these were very small, small initiatives. Many more of this type were there. But if you see the social impact of many initiatives which the university has taken, and the because before it became a university in 2006, there was a Gurukul which was running women, Kanya Gurukul. So the impact of Kanya Gurukul and the university in the area around the villages was that the sex ratio, you know that Haryana is known for adverse sex ratio. 879 is the sex ratio of Haryana and 940 is in India. But the Kanpur village in which the university was located, the sex ratio was 1378 females per 1000 male. So totally reverse. Even when you see the female literacy rate, the female literacy rate in India is 65%, Haryana is 65.94%. But again, in the Kanpur village, this is 2011 census data I am talking about. In the Kanpur village, the female literacy rate was 76%, more than 10% above the national and the state average. So this is the way I wanted to tell that how a university can impact the community around the university. So I'm sure if the universities take many, many such initiatives, the society around the university will develop, and the engagement with the community of the students will definitely sort of produce students which have holistic knowledge of the society around it, in addition to the classroom teaching. So this is what I wanted to share, and maybe in future, whatever questions come up, we'll take it up. Thank you, Professor Tandon. Thank you. Dr. Tandon, this is mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, Dr. Mittal. I had kept it mute to make sure there was no noise. Thank you. And let me invite now Professor Anand Mohan, who is the registrar of the Albagh Educational Institute, my colleague in the expert group of UGC. Professor Mohan.
Thank you, Professor Tandon. Thank you, panelists, and greetings to all the participants. Essentially, I'm a geologist by profession, so I would just begin with a note that there are natural disasters which may include earthquakes or tsunamis or landslides or volcanic eruptions, flash floods, famine, tornadoes, and so on. And there have been more deaths in a flip of a second with all these events that have occurred in the past on this planet over several number of occasions. As a result, in India, we had a National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, and they had a Disaster Management Act also passed in the Parliament in the year 2005. The reason why I'm pointing out that this COVID-19 and different from the experiences we had. And perhaps nobody thought except Professor Tandon and Dr. Mittal. They came up first time with this idea that there is a social cause and the community engagement is a social responsibility of the higher learning education institutions. And it is with this background or backdrop that I want to congratulate both these people to take things forward. And perhaps this would then, at some point of stage, government may think of passing in the parliament as an act, because we have to deal with such a massive and a large scale after impacts. And at the moment, I will only focus on the institutions. Are we ready to lose the academic session, or can we correct it? I am only talking about the Albag Educational Institution. It's a small institution where we believe in value-based quality education for a better worldliness. And here we have already designed work from home and open book examination systems so that our session is academic calendar is maintained and session is maintained. The other problem which is going to come and face is the fee issue. The parents have not received their salaries from the government organizations or private organizations. And we will have to ask the students to pay their fee. How are they going to manage it? So we have designed a novel way of earn while you learn and learn while you earn. So we are involving students in number of ways to the social cause and asking them to take up whatever they desire. They can join dairy, they can go to agriculture fields, they can do the cleaning, they can do security services, whatever in their extra time, so that their fee part is taken care by us as an emolument that we would pay to them. So that is another way we are looking at that. Now, the thing is that as a group, which we are a very strong group now, and we have a policy, I think sensitization is most important at this moment. And we have to also believe that bridge the gap between theory and practice is one of our mottos that we have been actually involved in. In Dialbag at the moment, maintaining a social distancing feature, because the crop is ready, we are doing continuous harvesting for about 10 hours in a 24-hour schedule. And all age group people are participating voluntarily and everybody is enjoying it. It's not that the food security is to be served, but we have 1,100 animals in our dairy. Their fodder has to be also maintained. You can't go to the market at the moment or in next few days also, or perhaps months, to buy a fodder for them. So we have to be more human. We have to be more considerate for these animals also. So all these things perhaps involve a very serious thought, where we have to make sure that how are we going to take things forward. Only by saying that we need to develop a platform for online courses or e-content courses delivery mechanism, we have to educate them how to start off with, how to take off these things. It's not that you only say that we have a portal and you just click it and it will work. There are students, they do not have internet in the facility in their villages. So we have to educate them. We have to give them time to understand them. The idea is to go to the last, the least, the lost, so that everybody has the equal share and equal opportunity. I think with this small note, I'll end up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Anand. That is very helpful to detail what you are experiencing on a day-to-day basis in the Dialbag. Let me now invite Dr. Nilima Gupta, who is the Vice Chancellor of Kanpur University. Nilima ji, you have to unmute your...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice talking to you in one of the very burning issues of the day. And at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Pankaj Mittal, the Secretary General of AIU, and Dr. Rajesh Tandon, who have taken this initiative. Whereas on one hand, the entire world is today thinking about the current day problem, that is how to get rid of COVID-19. It is these people who are also thinking about the future. Because by now I think we have all realized that this is not a one-day problem and it is going to exist for a few months. And what after that? That is a big problem. And then what after that? There are many sectors which are going to be affected. But if we talk about the society, the community, and how they are going to be affected, that is really a major problem. We who are sitting at the level of higher educational institutions, we have to think very deeply on this issue, because we at this level are associated at the grassroots level with the students, and these students, they come from the society and they go back to the society. So what we are doing at the institution level, that carries a great meaning. Let me introduce a little bit about our university. We are a big university, as Dr. Tandon has said. We have around 1,100 affiliating colleges, and we cater to about 8 lakh of students in 11 districts of the state. So this is, in fact, a very big mass, and I feel that if we are able to succeed in carrying out the message or delivering the goods to the masses of these students, and of course we have the faculty, we have the other staff which are involved in all these institutions, I think we'll be able to deliver the goods. So we have to work hard on these lines. And when we are talking about COVID-19, a little bit about this disease also, since I'm a biologist, I'm a student of zoology. So this is basically a virus, and how this virus has become so dreadful and we are not being able to eradicate it, because our focus is also on how we are going to control this virus so that our society can be saved. So this virus, in fact, till date, we have not been able to prepare any vaccine, because this is a very clever virus. And even in each country, it is mutating itself, so that we are not being able to prepare any vaccine as on date. So we cannot prevent ourselves from this disease, and we cannot even cure ourselves from this disease, because right now we do not have any specific drug or targeted drug which can attack this virus. We know the situation all over the world, and India, in fact, our government has been very enthusiastic about this problem right from the beginning, and it has been able to check it by having a complete lockdown. A complete lockdown, when it started, we were thinking that what is going to happen? Is it going to be for a few days? But by now we know that even if we start with our regular life, which is, I'm quite sure it's not going to begin very soon. But even when this life begins, we are going to be tagged with the remnants of this virus. So when this virus remains, we have to see that how we can cope up. So when today we are talking about our social responsibilities, it was a UNESCO conference also in 2009 who spoke about this social responsibilities. But in India, I would compliment again, Dr. Pankaj Mittal is in front of me, the UGC, which organized this in January 2020, which organized this national conference. And we started thinking that we must have this component of community or the society, which should be linked up with any university. Dr. Mittal was very right that today we do not recognize it as our curriculum. We do not recognize it as our inbuilt syllabus. And it is the individual responsibility of every university how they are coping up with it. In fact, Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj University, we have also adopted 6 villages as per the policy of the government. But we are trying to, if we just try to think that are they a part of the university, we have to think of how we can deliver the goods to each and every member of this rural population. On our level, we are taking certain initiatives, like we are trying to, just like Dr. Anand Mohan said, that everybody is not approachable to the web. So we also started this Vidyavani program, in which we have a regular broadcasting on the radio also. So we are delivering for those students who are in the rural areas and they do not have an access to the internet. They can also listen to the radio, and then we post all these lectures on our website. So it is a day when we have to look into what our society is doing and what we can do for them. I think that one of the most foremost issues is the health concern. Because if we talk about our medical facilities, it may be in small cities, not to talk of the villages, they do not have practically any facilities at all. And even in the cities, if we look at the situation of the district hospitals, I think we need a lot of focus on these district hospitals so that we have to take the healthcare as the one of the priority areas of the country. And we have to take them to the rural masses. Now, what these small villages, they have an access only to the gram panchayats. And these gram panchayats, because they are very closely linked up with the villages, it is they who can deliver the goods to these villagers. It is they who can look into their healthcare. And right now the situation is that even if there is a population amongst the rural villagers who are not suffering from COVID, they are suffering from other disease also, then also they can not access to the medical facilities because the situation is such, there is a complete lockdown and they are deprived of these medical facilities. So we have to look into this aspect that we have to reach these rural population even at the villager level where the gram panchayats can do that. And we have to, I also feel that we have to improve our resource generation, because right now, and it is a plea from all the state governments, from the government of India also, and I'm also very happy to note that people are contributing very generously. We have to contribute to our national pool, to our state pool, so that we can build up these better medical facilities which can reach up even to the rural areas, and we can improve our diagnostics, we can improve our therapeutics, because unless we improve right now, we are not even able to test all our suspected patients. So we have to make a great improvement on these lines. So CSJMU is making certain efforts to reach out to these rural masses. Like, of course, all universities are doing. We have a very good online platform through which we are doing the online teaching and all. And the question which arises is that will we be able to regularize our session? I have also submitted a proposal to the state government how we can squeeze in or we can adjust it with the next session and we can proceed on. But the main thing is that the fear which is going to arise in the rural population after this panic is that how are we going to get these villagers out of this panic? So we have also started a counseling center in our university where 3 doctors are attending to the calls which are received, and we started it only 2 days back and we have had more than 100 calls, and where our students, they are afraid of their placements, they are afraid of their studies, and even the normal citizen. So we are trying to reach out to them. It is high time that we reach out to our population, not only through the urban populations, we reach out to the rural populations as well. And we do not get panicky, because I am a strong believer that every cloud has a silver lining. If it's a sunset today, there will definitely be a sunrise. It is up to our determination, our wisdom, how we are able to tackle this situation. Let us look forward to a better tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nilima ji. You are in a region with so many districts, so many colleges in the heart of where a lot of migrant labor is returning. And I can imagine the pressure that the region is experiencing. Thank you for your thoughts, particularly around the issue of public health and how we can support. The medical colleges can play a particular role, but in general, universities, students, how can we use our own hygienic practices a little better in future? So thank you very much for bringing that perspective. Let me now request Professor Dinesh Singh to share his views on this topic. Welcome, Professor Singh.
Thank you, Professor Tandon. I'm delighted to be here, and it was a great delight also to listen to all my colleagues here who spoke with feeling and wisdom. And sometimes when I sit on benches like these, when there are so many wise experts, and if I'm asked to speak at the end, I feel like a junior judge on a multi-judge bench, where after the senior judges have spoken, all that he has to do is say, I concur, and the matter ends. So I do not know if I will be able to contribute too much, but it is certainly a very innovative experience, and I congratulate you for this initiative. You know, Professor Tandon, as little as I've understood education and what a university system is all about, I'm going to say the same things that everyone has said, but perhaps through a different approach. And this is very much in keeping with India's ancient Bahuda philosophy, where it is so wisely said that ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. So we're all saying the same thing, but following different paths. So I urge all of you to take it in that spirit. But I'm also a mathematician. And mathematicians have a bit of a problem. Unless they define something clearly, it gets difficult for them to proceed. So we need to get our definitions right. And this is a peculiarity of mathematicians. So you don't have to think about this at your end. But, I'd love to define what is education all about. And I have a very simple definition. It is nothing but a search of the self. It's very much an individual thing. Antar Atma ki khoj hai. It is a question of each individual, if he or she can find what is the drumbeat of the soul. Antaratma ki dhvani kya hai? If they can catch that, and once they understand this drumbeat, if they start marching in the real world in harmony with this drumbeat, they will begin to get educated. That's my personal belief. And there are many examples. I'll just give you 2 examples very quickly. Mahatma Gandhi understood his drumbeat at a very young age in life. He was 6-7 years of age when he saw the play Satyavadi Raja Harishchandra. And the drumbeat of adhering to the truth began to beat inside him, reverberate inside him, and he understood immediately. And he took a vow right then that no matter what happens in his life, he will always adhere to the truth. That is called marching in harmony with the drumbeat. And that's when and how Gandhiji began to get educated. Who will say he was not educated? Everyone will say he was a wise man, full of wisdom. That's what education is all about. But is it anything to do with a university, a college, or a school? Not really. So let's recognize that this principle is independent by itself. Now, what should a university do? A university is really there for the young at mind. And therefore, it has to ensure that it creates a platform where every single youth that enters its portals is given a chance and opportunity to find his or her drumbeat. The challenge is, how do you create such a platform? For Gandhiji, it was fortunate that the platform came through this external stimulus of the play Satyavadi Raja Harishchandra. It has to be an external stimulus. We must recognize that. Therefore, now I come to this business of universities and society. I believe, and Mahatma Gandhi endorsed this, so did Rabindranath Tagore, so did so many others, that to really begin to understand your drumbeat, you must understand the needs and challenges of society and of the nation. आप समाज और राष्ट्र की आवश्यकताओं और चुनौतियों के साथ अगर संस्था को जोड़ेंगे, तो उसमें तमाम ध्वनियां हैं. And every youth will be able to find his particular drumbeat outside, which resonates with the drumbeat within. Then he grasps that and begins to march with. Now, let me give you practical examples. So, what does this mean? So, I'm a mathematician. I have to teach mathematics. I love mathematics. The point is, I'm again reminded of the Mimamsa school of philosophy. What does it say? Knowledge without action is meaningless. Unfortunately, our institutions have somehow evolved to such a level where most of our learning is in a very formal blackboard classroom context. This has not been India's way. And if you look at some of the great institutions of the West, you will find, and we are forever trying to talk about them, we are always being told, why are we not in the top 100? Then we have to look at what makes them good and how could we be better in our own way. We don't have to copy them, but there are principles we could learn from there, but they're also embedded in India's past. Let me give you a quick example. In the Gurukul of Haridrumat, this is a tale from the Chandogya Upanishad, and it's a true story. The Upanishads are episodes from history. Hari Drumat was a great guru who ran this institution, a university. When Satyakam goes to his university for admission, it's a long story. I mean, Satyakam is admitted because he speaks the truth, and Hari Drumat says, only those can enter who are Brahmins. And then Satyakam says, I don't know who my father is. I asked my mother, etc., etc. And then Hari Drumat says, that's what a Brahman is, the one who speaks the truth, not by birth. Only by adherence to the truth can you be a Brahman. And therefore he admits him. There's great learning there. But now look what he does. He doesn't tell Satyakam, go recite the Vedas, go memorize this. No, he gives him 200 odd head of cattle, and he says, do not return until they become 1,000. In those days, wealth was measured in terms of how many head of cattle you own. All wealth, including the wealth of kingdoms, was estimated through how much cattle a kingdom had. Just look at this. This is an exercise in wealth management. And when Satyakam goes into the forest, he does not return until they have multiplied so many fold. When he returns, then Hari Drumat says, you have already learned, there's enlightenment on your face. Gandhiji always said that in education, what you do with your hands will enter your heart. Now look at our curriculum, look at how our universities are made. We teach Hindi literature as if everybody is going to become a Bhartetu Harishchandra. Thousands of people join mathematics as if everyone will become a Ramanujan. And when I ask my students that do you know how to build an aeroplane, they are clueless even though they are taught fluid dynamics consistently. Making an aeroplane and fluid dynamics are absolutely integral to each other, but no one knows that it has any connection with making an aeroplane. And India goes and imports aeroplanes all the time at great financial cost to the nation. Universities have to think about this. It's all very good that you say you want to go adopt a village. I think we have to be a little worried. We must not have this attitude towards a village of some kind of superciliousness. They are as good as we are. There is much wisdom there. We can learn from them. Let us go with that attitude of humility. But all this will happen by itself if we first reorient our curriculum. Let us, and every single curriculum must adopt these principles that build yourself around the needs and challenges of society and the nation. And to do that, you must also have practicality, that means hands-on, and transdisciplinarity. That is so important. You will find in most universities in India, I can speak of so many that I have been connected with, where a computer scientist does not talk to a mathematician. And right now, when this COVID crisis is engulfing the nation, I cannot think of more than 1 or 2 universities, probably not even them, who have any clue how to tackle the problem. There's no mathematical model coming to us. All models are coming to us from the West. There's not a single model in India that is integral to India. I cannot think of any vaccine system which is integral to India. No one from Ayurveda is speaking about this. Why are we not connected with our own systems of medicine where they must have looked at it? So there are all these issues. If university become transdisciplinary, hands-on, orient their curriculum and allow a child to discover, then believe me, I have run these experiments for years with young people, and they can find their true calling in life. And through that, they are able to serve society far better than what we can imagine. I'll give you one last example and I'll stop. I set up an innovation center at the University of Delhi where we were running many out-of-the-box degree programs. One of them was called Bachelor of Technology in Innovation with Mathematics. Most of the learning was through project work. There was hardly any blackboard learning. You had to take projects and build your knowledge of a subject through the project. A bunch of students read about a village in Aurangabad where they had devised a round-the-clock water supply system. They went all the way to the village, studied the system, built a mathematical simulation, a model out of that, and created a startup so that any village that wants also build the same kind of water supply system. And in trying to do that, they also taught themselves differential equations and how, through good computer programming, through good coding and good mathematics, you can build mathematical models. That is the point I'm trying to say. You can serve many villages like that. So the sooner universities adopt themselves to these things, the better for this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rajesh Singh. Very wonderful coming from a mathematician who has tried this You have given a historical view from our own reality. Three very important messages that all of you have given. One is that linkage with society has to be more real, dynamic, not one way, not adopt a village, etc. But when you approach your curriculum and your teaching method, the pedagogies, then if they are interactive, then you can draw solutions in ways that the example you gave of Aurangabad is a very interesting one. The example that Professor Anand Mohan was giving or Dr. Mittal was giving from their context. Innovation happens when you interact with the real world in ways that addresses a challenge or a context. And so this is a wonderful stimulation from our panelists as to in this forthcoming context where it's not just a health issue, public health issue, is going to disrupt the way we live. Can you imagine social distancing in high density urban informal settlements? It's going to be an economic challenge in terms of revitalizing our small industry, our vendors. A large number of our vendors in the city of Delhi, there are nearly 500,000 vendors, and they're all without livelihood at this moment. And whether you are in, but solution cannot come from only your discipline, as Professor Dinesh Singh also highlighted. You have to think beyond. The commerce, economics, mathematics, computers, biology may need to interact. And in the context in which we talk about India, the solutions found in tribal regions of Odisha are not necessarily the solutions in eastern UP or in western Maharashtra. And so contextualizing your knowledge in interaction with society may generate solutions. Principles may be common. So let me now open it up and invite questions, comments from our participants. We have another half hour with us towards this. Some of you have started posting questions in Q&A, which there are also some thoughtful comments. There's one which says maybe villages should adopt universities. That's a very interesting one. Let us see who wants to ask a question or make a comment. Costa, you can see where people are. Okay, now let me see.
There is one Aniruddha Bodhankar.
Yes, please invite. Can you help me, Costa, just so that I am listening to their comments or questions? Then you can, invite them, please.
Yeah.
Aniruddha Bodhankar. Yes, please. Aniruddha?
Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Sir, how can we, these faculties from management, be helpful in this scenario?
Tell us how.
Yeah. In what way we can model our infrastructure or our knowledge for such a scenario?
You have to come up with a solution. You are a faculty of management, but also look around, as our panelists have been saying. Think about it. We'll note down the questions. I'll come back after a few more. Girishan. Can we invite Girishan?
Sir, good morning,
Yeah.
sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
It was very interesting to listen all the four panelists and your opening remarks. As a faculty of local governance and development, I wish to make a couple of points here.
Yes.
Because I think every university or a higher education institution need to work and equip the local community to address all kinds of disasters. It's COVID plus beyond. That is first point. And I think we have to activate the disaster management cell in every village, wherever it is there or wherever it is not there. You have to either initiate or we have to activate it. And we can also think of taking up a disaster risk assessment which is a multidisciplinary approach, multidisciplinary process. And the last point, I think we have to have a scientific and systematic approach by a sincere and committed workforce, which includes students, faculty, and non-teaching staff, to take up disaster preparedness and risk reduction measures by working actively with the local governments and other community-based organizations like youth organizations, SHGs, NGOs, women organizations, and all other community-based organizations, which includes even religious and other organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Vibhuti. Vibhuti ji?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
so
please.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I feel really blessed that I'm amidst such academic leadership. And of course, we've had long ongoing conversations with Professor Rajesh Tandon, Dr. Dinesh Singh ji as well. And I'm heading the architecture planning school in Ansal University. And we've taken a lot of interventions in the city, which we have been able to sort of do something about with the local authorities. But there's so much to be done, whether it's about the bid to have Gurgaon as a learning city, about the smart city initiatives, about saving our heritage. And I would actually invite humanities disciplines, geographers, planners, sociologists, philosophers to work closely with architects, planners, and designers. I think we are the other end of the spectrum where we are very hands-on, but we would need really kind of all the disciplines to merge and work very proactively in bettering our environment. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I quickly interject here for half a minute?
Sure, please.
So this is really meant for Vibhuti, but it's open to everyone. So Vibhuti at Kher Mangalam University, and I'm not advertising here, but we are working on two projects that may be of interest to you. We are building a smart ashram. And we are collaborating with others to look at how we can make a smart village. And the village is making us smart in return. So you're welcome to, be a part of this project. I'll be happy to incorporate any of your ideas. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'd love to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a great idea. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gopal Dabade. Gopal, can you hear me? Can you?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I'm a medical doctor and I'm working as a health activist in rural areas now, working with the panchayats. And I've also interacted with several universities in my own town of Dharwad. And what I find is that there is a huge gap between the community and the academicians in the university. I think this is the first major hurdle that I see as, I don't know how we are going to tackle it. That's a major issue that is bothering me. And secondly, some of the solutions that were given were technological. I agree, technology is important. Appropriate technology has got great importance. But there are several social, economic issues in the community as of now. So are we going to address them? So if you're going to address them, how are we going to raise these issues? This is something that I've been thinking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wait, Professor Anand Mohan, you'd like to comment on it, please?
Yeah, I wanted to say that we have already started preparing from as and when the students will start arriving. It will be a very huge crowd. So we have a healthcare center to monitor their entry, and before they enter, they'll have to go through that passage. And it's a 24-hour call center managed by 2 doctors every 2 hours. So around the clock, they are there. At the moment, there are no students or faculty. So we are serving to the local society. Any maids or those on the streets serving stalls or anything, shopkeeper, they can come and they can get them scanned, and we are helping them out. So this is one service to the society by way we are doing, where we are actually preparing for the influx of the students to arrive in large numbers times to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Rita Venugopal ji. Rita ji.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Good afternoon. That was a great dais with lots of information. And I want to add that Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General AIU said, the social responsibility task, which we always think it is responsibility of social subject of the university. For example, anytime when the issue of social responsibility comes, the science people look towards departments of social sciences or humanities. The urge or the basic instinct of social surveys is not incorporated in the scientific milieu. I mean, it is a very good idea that the person from chemistry should go to village and see the quality of water. And I think this is the insight which has to be given to the students of UG or PG. That is excellent work we can do through AIU and UGC. Secondly, just I want to add that when we talk about social responsibility, we have been doing, as Dr. Tandon knows, with the help of Priya and UNESCO Co-Chair, we have started a certificate course of community-based participatory research. And now we thought of taking it as a credit course for students of other subjects. And I feel that this will give a hand or experience to the students to learn about the research processes, that how to go to village or how to go to community. I mean, for that reason, any community to go and work or serve or do research in the community. This is what I wanted to add to this group. Thank you so much for making me to be here in this group. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rita ji. May I now invite Dr. Manju Singh. Manju Singh. Manju Singh, can you share your comments, question?
Yeah, good afternoon. It was wonderful experience. In fact, all the panelists and the initiator has given a very useful input for that. To be very quick, I just want to say that like we all higher education institution, universities and Institute of Technical Education are doing wonderful work in terms of extension and all. But I believe being a part of Knowledge for Change with again UNESCO Chair, this engaged scholarship, engaged community university engagement is far more than simple extension work or social work. It's a long subject. In fact, the whole teaching should be done in the way so that it can impact the society. We all mention about the ultimate objective of our vision statement is to connect with the community. But in reality, we see these are the over-promised and under-delivered. In most of the institutions, we have ultimate objective. So what Professor Dinesh has mentioned about it, the transdisciplinary research is must in nowadays. And for allowing that to engage student, parents or policymakers or the community, the first and foremost experience has to be, first and foremost, I will say the step. This is based on my experience, the sensitization of all the stakeholder is must. Without that, I have some doubt that how we are going to go ahead. So stakeholder in which involve institution of higher education, all the policymakers, teachers, students, parents, and even the community. So for transdisciplinary approach, I am very sure that this is going to impact society in fullest form with the knowledge creation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manju. May I invite any of the panelists who want to make a comment? Dr. Mittal, Dr. Nilima, anything you have heard, you want to add something, or raise a question, or give a story? Or yeah, Dr. Mittal, please.
Yes, I'll also take up some of the questions which are posted on the QA panel here.
Right, please.
And like one of the questions is that it should be made mandatory for the faculty to indulge in community engagement activities. So I must say that these type of things can come from within. We can incentivize the faculty, we can incentivize the students, but we cannot make it mandatory for the faculty to contribute in the societal development. So what UGC has done is that it has made a 1-2 credit course mandatory in community engagement. But to make it mandatory for every faculty to indulge in community engagement, I think it should come from within. It has to come from within that, yes, I must do something for the community. I must pay back to the society. Similarly, somebody is asking that during this COVID time, if the students go to the villages, won't this be a safety issue, especially when the universities are closed? So I must say that they, of course, when they go to the villages, if they go to the villages, they have to take all those safety precautions. But it is not only that we can help the community by going to the society, we can help in many more ways. For example, if I tell you of AIU during this COVID time, we wanted to help our universities. Now we cannot go to every university. So what we did was we started a workshop on online teaching, because we know that COVID came all of a sudden and neither our students nor our faculty were prepared for online teaching, most of them. So we designed online workshop to prepare the faculty for online teaching. Similarly, placements will be an issue. So we talked to some agency who is working on online placements. So now we are having a webinar of placement officers of the universities on how to have online placements, online interviews, how to contact with the recruiters online. Similarly, digital like libraries are closed. So we collaborated with NDLI that they will give all their resources. So we have shared the links and all with the universities that if you want to access any of these resources, these are the links. And if you want to contribute to the NDLI, this is the way you can contribute. So everybody has to think how they can connect with the community, how they can help the community they are serving. Like I feel AIU is helping, serving the community of universities. So we are thinking of the ways in which we can help the universities. Similarly, universities can think of the ways they can help the community. It has to be well thought of, and then there cannot be a uniform thing, because every university will have a unique way, because the issues relating to the community around the university are different. So every community has to respond in a different manner. There cannot be a uniform single way in which every university will be responding to the community engagement.
Thank you very much. Dr. Nilima.
Yeah. I would also like to stress on a few points. One, just on adding on to what Dr. Pankaj Mittal said, that right now we have 2 credit courses in UG and PG programs. So now it has to be decided. I feel that these 2 credit courses have to be increased, because now it is the need of the day that we have to reach to the community, we have to reach the society. So either it has to be taken up by the University Grants Commission, or the individual universities, they can think of and add these courses. I think that would be better, because every regional area has its own demands. And looking into these issues, each university can plan these courses, but it can be made mandatory that instead of 2, we can have, say, 4 or 6 courses which can be added on. Second thing which I feel is that just after this COVID-19 panic, there is going to be a lot of confusion regarding placements, job opportunities. And like we have started the counseling center, we are getting a lot of questions on what we are going to do after, suppose we get the degree and all. So I think that we should focus more now on skill-based courses, so that these students who are passing out or they are coming to the market, they'll be able to get more jobs and their future can become secure. And the third point which I want to stress is that we have certain funding agencies. Like earlier, there was a simple cottage industries which we had for small scale industries, but now we have MSME, that is the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. So they have to be promoted, and the government has to look into the possibility of giving more funds to these organizations so that they can lay out more funds for our youth who are going to come out after this panic, and they will be secure from the job point of view. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, let me give you a quick example of something that I heard from some of you and in one of the questions to all of you that can be done. Now, Dr. Nilima's university has, as she said, 8 lakh students. These students are living in some of those 11 districts. There are colleges attached to it. Right now, there are 2 kinds of challenges immediately. First challenge is proper health, hygiene, information. All kinds of rumors are floating around in rural areas, all kinds of myths, distortions. Many state governments and many others, WHO, many NGOs, medical colleges have come up with very simple local language information about what is COVID, what is hygiene, what is social distancing, what is washing hands, how to try to do this in your own context. So through your students and your faculty, you may be able to share these, and wherever they are, even if it is a lockdown, they are in some locality, they are in some neighborhood, they can also spread this more authentic, real information. And similarly, when you as one of you mentioned, that multidisciplinary research can be initiated. The question of panic, the question of counseling, the question of disturbance in their livelihood, this cannot be studied only by one faculty, but could be teams which include public health, disaster management, community-based prepared disaster, resistance, resilience, those kinds of. So some of those ideas can actually begin to be implemented even at the level where all of us are. Some of it during lockdown itself, but more so when the students and faculty return to the campus. So thank you very much. Let me see who else wants to speak. Professor Aditya. Professor Aditya, can you?
Yes. Thank you very much, all the panelists, for this very enlightening and passionate statement and talks that you've presented here today. I'd just like to share something that our university, I'm from K.R. Mangalam University in Sona and Gurgaon, a project that we've initiated on COVID-19. It's a pan-university project. It's the first time that we've undertaken a university-wide project, and about 1,000 students have registered for this project. And it's becoming truly transdisciplinary. So we have 9 sub-themes in this topic. I won't go into all of them, but they range from looking at legal aspects, looking at health and hygiene, looking at the economic aspects, global economic aspects of this pandemic, the narratives on media, and also the questions of what the world and this country is going to look like post the pandemic. And we have organized clusters of students who are working in a truly transdisciplinary manner, to come back to what Professor Dinesh Singh was talking about. So we have students from management, for example, legal studies, engineering, working together. Then we have students from architecture, humanities, and pharmacy working together. And this is the first time that our university is undertaking such a transdisciplinary project. And I feel that the nature of this pandemic has, in a sense, encouraged and also forced us all to look at and work together beyond our disciplines, which is something that all of you have mentioned today. So this is something that I wanted to share with you. We have begun this project. It's online, through online teaching and online engagement of our faculty with our students. And we want to continue it now throughout the semester and possibly come up with a publication and recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me now see who else.
Dr. Atul Pratap.
Dr. Atul, can you hear me, Dr. Atul? Dr. Atul?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So your turn, please.
Actually,
hello.
Yes. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry I have joined late just because of huge traffic over there. But my worries are something different because I'm, educator of social work, and I have been forced to be, in a lockdown phase. And I realized that a lot of mental health issues are there, which are being faced by people. Even I'm also into that, scenario. And what I would like to suggest is these higher educational institution, and we are here talking about fostering social responsibility by higher educational institution with special reference to COVID-19 and beyond actually. So if all these higher educational institutions are not being utilized during this phase, so first of all we should have a disaster plan for this particular pandemic situation. And three most important things are very important, under which higher educational institution may contribute significantly. These are mitigation, preparedness, as well as recovery. So I think we should utilize top brains of higher educational institution in this regard, especially social work educator and professional, as well as people from psychology. So I think everybody is engaged in e-learning, or engaging students through video conferencing or through other applications. Those are available, and we are also here through this medium. So what my ultimate response is, basically we have to have a plan how we can engage higher educational institutions into such a situation if it will arise in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to now request our panelists, because we have only 8-9 more minutes left. So I'm going to request panelists and Dr. Mittal if they want to make some closing remarks. There are a number of very interesting questions in Q&A. If you want to pick up any one of them and make a few comments before I will just then do a little summary in the end. But Professor Anand Mohan, do you want to?
Yeah, I just want to close by saying that, serving to the society, it's a culture. It's by passion you do it. And it's in that spirit, with that dedication. And as Dr. Dinesh Singh also mentioned, that it has to come from within. So that's more important. And this is the Dialbag way of life we experience in everyday life. So that's what I wanted to just mention it.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Dinesh Singh, would you like to make some comments, please?
I just wish to say that, I'm happy that this discussion took place. All of us have been forced to think a little harder on this matter. One area of slight concern, Professor Tandon, to impose things from above, especially in academics, is always counterproductive. In my limited experience, I've noticed this business of getting the UGC to say you must have 2 courses, credit courses for, I'm telling you, if the UGC wishes to give some wisdom, all it must do is ask universities to reorient their curriculum to connect with the needs and challenges of society. Automatically, all your social commitments in different ways will flower. I urge you most humbly, please don't get these things to be forced down people's throats. It'll kill the university system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Nilima, any closing reflection from you?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tandon. I would like to say that we have to go right to the grassroots level, and we have to connect ourselves with the society. And as I said earlier also, that it is up to us to find out the problems of our area. If I take the example of our university only, like we have 11 districts, I feel that each of the district itself, they have their own problems. And above that, on one hand, we have to look into the needs of the society. And I will again stress that we have to look into the medical issues. We have to become more health conscious. And I'm sorry to say that even the cities right now, they do not have proper medical facilities. They do not have proper diagnostics and therapeutics. And we have to take all these facilities to the villager level also. They should know about their health. They should know about their hygiene. They should know how to eat properly. They should know how to drink properly. So these basic things must also be inculcated right at the grassroots level. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Mittal, any closing reflections from you, additional answers?
I would say that most of the panelists, most of the people who have participated, they're anxious about how they can contribute to the community engagement. And especially in this COVID time when we are all locked up in the homes, how can they contribute? So there are many, many ways. There can be like many, you must be reading, there was a UGC circular also, that many students are facing the mental health problems during this time. And so are many of the community people. So can universities open some sort of a site where somebody can do the counseling for these type of students? Can there be a community radio? And then in our India, there are many universities which are even doing medical interventions. There are some universities in the south, they are working on the ventilator, how one ventilator can work for 3-4 people. Ayush is developing some medicines for the immunity development of the students, immunity development of the people. So like there can be interventions by the society, by the university in multiple ways, depending upon the strength of the university. So there has to be a will to do something for the community, and if that will is there, the ways can always be found out. And I must also thank Professor Tandon for organizing this webinar, and to all the panelists for participating at a short notice and contributing in a big way to the discussions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mittal. I have picked up a number of ideas, and as has been said, not all ideas are implementable in all contexts. There is a particular way in which we can look at our education and our institutions. If we look at in an engaged way, in societally relevant way, in terms of challenges in society, then today's situation poses a number of immediate and medium-term opportunities. The immediate opportunities are with your students and through them and faculty members to reach out wherever they are to disseminate correct information, right information. Even I have seen people wearing face masks and then throwing them all around my neighborhood. It creates more health problem than prevents. So hygienic practices, awareness about that, we can reach out. Such a large number of students and faculty are there. We must be living in every village and every neighborhood in the cities. Second is more when the lockdown is over and when the students return, as Professor Anand Mohan was saying, how can some sort of a scanning arrangement can be made, and how can the university's own functioning can demonstrate how space is used, how communication happens, and then the curriculum. And ultimately it is the teaching and learning process and research associated with that. And if we pick up our neighborhoods, wherever our campuses are, our colleges are, where our students come from, irrespective of whatever discipline they are studying, we have had in this short while, we have had a mathematician, a geographer, a biologist, a zoologist, a agricultural scientist, just engineer, technologist, range of people who have talked about this. And I think we can start from our discipline, but look around who else should join in when we are addressing a problem. Architects have spoken here. Space, the concept of space, how space should be used in future in light of this, how it should be better utilized, and what happens in those situations where density of population is there. We have had people like commenting on the gender lens in this. And there are particular situations that women are experiencing and likely to experience. You know, I heard a story from Bundelkhand region where in some of the villages, for the first time in 10 years, their local houses were unlocked because the whole family had migrated away. They migrated away because of the drought-prone area, limited land, but they had to return. And now they are returning. Their adjustment in society, their livelihood, their relationships are all being challenged. So there's no shortage of how we can contribute. But as our panelists have said, start from where you are and start from the heart that you have, and your head will combine, heart, hand, and head will combine to take this forward. But we must engage, and we must persuade and motivate all our colleagues in higher education to engage at this juncture and with a commitment over the long haul. I want to take this moment to thank the panelists and all the participants who have engaged and participated, sent questions. A special thanks to Dr. Mittal and Association of Indian Universities to partner. We may do 1 or 2 more webinars later on, and you will have the recording available on YouTube shortly, as well as a summary of the key messages that we had today. Thank you all. Have a good day. Stay safe and be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Costa, for all your support. And thank you, colleagues, for making it possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.